We're so happy to be back with you today. We're going to get started in just a moment. You know, we are in Mental Health Month, so we are talking all things mental health. And today we have Sonja Pickett with us, who is a mental health coach and expert. Amazing story, powerful woman, doing great work, trailblazing mental health. And we'll talk about that in just a moment. But before we jump into it, some real quick housekeeping rules. We want you to share this message out. That's number one. So if you're watching us on LinkedIn or YouTube or Facebook, go ahead and just get the message out, amplify it. Let's make sure that we can spread this message aloud. And it's important that we are sharing this content because these are the things that people are dealing with every single day of their lives. You'd be surprised how many people are dealing with things, and you may not even know it. So we're bringing this content to raise awareness, uplift, inspire, and to empower you. So go ahead and lift this message up for us. Share it out. Comment. Let's blow up the chat box. So we want to acknowledge you if you're watching us from wherever you are. We do want you to be a part of the conversation, a part of being engaged with us. So ask questions. If there's something that resonates with you, put it into the chat box. Don't forget to like and to subscribe if you're watching from YouTube. And then lastly, don't forget to subscribe to our ATL Rise podcast. Episodes are released every single Friday. We're bringing new content to you. Tomorrow we have an amazing episode you don't want to miss. So do make sure you also subscribe to our ATL Rise podcast, where you can subscribe either through Spotify, Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, or wherever you choose to listen. All right, we're going to jump right into it. Sonja, thank you so much for being with me today, for sharing this space. I am really excited to talk to you and to pick your brain about your work and what you've been doing. Thank you for being here.
Thank you so much for having me. I am equally as honored to be here. Thank you for this platform, and thank you for giving voice and making space for all things mental health this month.
I love it. And that's exactly what we're doing. I want to read your bio, Sonja, first, so that those that don't know you could formally be introduced to your work and what you've been doing. And then we're going to jump into mental health real talk because it's so important that, again, we're having these types of conversations. So Sonja is a certified mental health life coach. She's an advocate in pursuing her degree in social work. Shout out to all of my amazing powerhouse social workers. She's currently serving as the Associate Director of Philanthropy for Women on the Rise International. Her passion for contributing to the well-being and betterment of women and girls is being realized. She's the founder and owner of Sonja Renee Enterprises, which is the umbrella for her signature coaching program, There Is More. I love it, especially because it has my last name on it.
Hey.
Which helps clients and or their caregivers identify and achieve their goals while navigating through mental health challenges. She is known as the navigation coach. Sonja has found her niche and coming alongside those who dare to rise above this stigma. That's powerful. She's a native of Cleveland, Ohio, and currently resides in Central Florida. She's a loving mom of four and has a nurturing and compassionate heart for people, which is exemplified by way of mentorship, coaching, and volunteering. She is best known for her quiet nature, her unassuming love and passion for God, and her unique ability to express her heart through writing. She previously held the position of vice president of a new nonprofit organization, Enduring the Course Incorporated, whose focus is to increase understanding, reduce stigma, and expand mental health intervention options. Amazing.
Yes.
Her current activities include a budding speaker and facilitator, a five-time contributing co-author, as well as the creator and author of her own biblical affirmation journal entitled "And She Found Herself in Him." I am like, this is so amazing, Sonja. I love it. I'm just blown away by your bio. Just
Thank you.
reading it really does. I see the just the grace over you to do this work to help people come into their potential
Thank you.
and to really overcome a lot of the trauma that they've been through. So I'm excited.
So am I.
So tell me what inspired you. Let's jump into the conversation. What was it that led you into mental health?
I've always had a passion or a heart for all things mind and soul.
Mhm.
Um, I ended up deviating from that because initially I was going to go to school after high school to go into social work, but I was talked out of it. There's not enough money in it and all that good stuff. Exactly. So I'm good with numbers. I love numbers. Ooh, number crunching, all that good stuff. So I decided, let me go the finance route. And so went into banking and things of that nature, tax. But my passion was still there. I was not satisfied. So after living life and being a mom and giving birth to 4 amazing individuals and being married, and it was still there. And I was like, I need to pursue this. So went back to college, and that's the track that I'm on now. It's taking me a little while because, again, I'm a mother and a lot of other things. But what ended up bringing me to where I am right now, to the place where I was wild enough to decide to step out and begin to own my own business or start my own business or coaching business, was a personal experience that my husband and I experienced, my then husband and I experienced with our firstborn. First and foremost, I ended up, during the pandemic, I ended up somehow or another making connection with Colleen Diana. And she has her own university where she certifies mental health life coaches. And I was like, oh my God, this is perfect. So I reached out to her. We ended up talking. She interviewed me. I was accepted, went through the program, certified, and that happened in September of 2020. And as we all know, 2020 was the year of all types of madness. And so that's how that's where I got my credentials or my certification from. But prior to that, what led up to even my desire for it to make this more specific was, again, I mentioned that the mental health challenges or crises hit close to home. It's one thing to study about it, to study things that affects your mind and things of that nature, to be a student of all things mental health and social work. It's another thing when you experience it personally. My now 20-year-old daughter, back in, when she was ending 8th grade, she began going through these changes, and her father and I didn't understand or know what was going on. We didn't know if it was just typical teenage rebellion or what was going on, or if we needed to pray harder because we were avid, we're born again believers, Christians in church, things of that nature. So we was just trying to figure it out. And the last thing on our mind was the fact that it may have been any type of mental health challenge or that would lead to diagnoses. So just going through that experience, it wasn't until probably, I believe, almost 2 years later that after she was Baker acted for the 5th time, because with all of the interventions that we had attempted to put in place as our parents, and the assistance and the aid that we were receiving from church, in the form of praying and mentorship and disciplining, as far as taking things from her and placing her on punishment, all the long talks after talk. Nothing was working. As a matter of fact, it got progressively worse. So it wasn't until after her 5th time being Baker acted, which down here in Florida, that is when someone makes an attempt to no longer be here, to take their lives by way of suicide, that they are required or mandated to be hospitalized for at least 3 days. So that had happened with us and with her at least 5 times within a 1.5 year, 2-year period. And we didn't know what was going on. But after the 5th time, we were sent to a different facility, and they were able to help us to see that what's going on with her and provide us with a legitimate diagnosis, one at that particular time. And so from then on, once we got the diagnoses, we were able, it's almost like the doors began to open. It equipped us with at least a starting point to know what we're doing, where we should attempt to reach out to help from, which wasn't as easy to access as we thought. So we're running through this and going through this. This is on the job learning, so to speak. But eventually, shortly thereafter, we were able, and I'm so grateful to God about this, because the facility that we ended up being able to have her admitted into, it had a waiting list. And so we were still trying to figure out what are we going to do with her, and how are we going to keep her safe in the meantime. But then the doors opened up, and we were able to get her admitted into this team mental health residential facility. And within that facility, she was provided with, or she was assigned her own team to watch over her, to watch her, and to, diagnose her and further diagnose her. It was a team of a psychiatrist, which would take care of the medicine side, a therapist. There was a dietitian. There was also a school counselor, because she actually went to school while she was at the facility. So with that team, they were able to monitor her. They were able to prescribe or get her set up on what they called affectionately a cocktail of medicine, to allow her to at least have the best quality of life as possible. And while she's taking the medicine, she will be able to use the coping skills that she learned, or that she was learning in therapy, so that she can have the best possible life, or chance at life, on the other side of this new reality. So having experienced all of that, and knowing firsthand the feelings and the fears and the frustrations and the questions that I had, as well as her father had, going through the process, as well as the effect that it had on her siblings, because she's the oldest of 4 children, just knowing firsthand the effect that all of this had on the entire structure of our family, and not to mention her. I can't imagine what it was like for her to be in the middle of that and not knowing what's going on. All of that coming together with my already love for mental health and social work is what pushed me. And then with 2020 and being on punishment, I didn't have anything else to do but to sit and really rethink life because of COVID. It really made me say, okay, I need to play my role. I need to play my part in not just life, but more specifically in an area of life that has affected me personally, and that I both have a passion for. And so that is where There Is More was born. It was a slow birth. It's been on, it's been in an incubator for a little while, and but that's where it was born, and it's my baby. I'm proud of it. It's something that's definitely needed.
This is so powerful. I just want to thank you publicly for telling your story so that others may be liberated, others may be inspired, and others may be informed. Sometimes I think people feel like they're the only ones going through this.
Right.
Sometimes parents of kids that have mental health challenges don't know that they're not the only one.
Right.
And that there's a number of parents out here trying to do the same thing, navigating through the same systems, going through the same emotions of fear, of frustration, of feeling like all the resistance and not knowing exactly what to do. And so I love the fact that you highlighted the behind the scenes, what happens to a parent when
Yes.
you do have a child and you're trying to do all the right things. You're
Yes.
trying to discipline them. You're going to church and praying. You're trying everything and nothing seems to work. But one of the things that I love about your story and what you've done, Sonja, is you never gave up. And you always tried to find the right way. What was it that led you to the solution for your own daughter, in terms of finally knowing this is what's going on with her? How did you get led to that teen facility?
So after she was Baker acted in UBC,
Mhm.
we had to make a decision. We had to begin. We were already in the process of looking for different facilities to help. So what led us to that was, again, us doing our own research and searching on the website and finding this one particular residential place, calling and just beginning that process. We knew that we had done all that we could do and
Mm.
then some, and our baby girl wasn't getting any better. We
Ah.
were afraid for her life. We was afraid that the impulsive behavior was going to get the best of her. We were afraid that one day we were going to wake up. Ooh, I'm not getting emotional. We were going to wake up and she wasn't going to be in her room because she ran away. We were afraid that one day her attempt to take herself out of here was going to be successful. Or we were afraid that one of the million times of self-harm and cutting, that she was going to end up hurting herself beyond repair. We just knew that she needed help. And whereas we continued to pray, we continued to seek
Mhm,
God, we didn't get it didn't happen supernaturally. It didn't
mhm,
happen miraculously. So
mhm,
we knew then, and even prior to then, that it's time to find the help
mhm,
that God wants to send us, or that God has available to us in outside
mhm,
resources. So
mhm.
that's what took it. We couldn't give up. That's our baby.
Yes.
Our baby.
You did not lose hope because, I think this is so powerful. I've been working in the field for many years, I want to say maybe about 15 years. And I remember the frustration of many parents of not knowing what to do, not knowing how to navigate, not having the language or even the answers as to what's going on with my child or with my children. And sometimes they've accepted whatever it was and just, decided to just do the best they can day by day. But you took it, I mean, you really did make sure that your daughter had what she needed. And it's really important. You made this point. I'm here taking notes. If you see me looking down, you
You're
said
okay.
it didn't happen miraculously, right? And essentially, what is miraculous? It depends on how someone would essentially see what miraculous is. But what did happen is that you had the practical help, the tactical
Absolutely.
help.
Yes.
You God allowed you to be introduced to the right people, to provide the right resources to help your child, and that's important. Because I think just going into mental health and church, that tends to be a clashing sort of um, concept, and it shouldn't, right?
Right.
Because we are not just
Spirit.
spirit,
Right.
right? We're body and we have a soul, and we got to deal with the layers of man.
Absolutely.
Deal with the layers, and so commend you for pushing past what people may have thought was not faith, to say no, this is the right path for my child.
And I do want to interject, it not necessarily just other people, even within myself,
Mhm.
born and raised in church. And
Mhm.
we have this set of belief that um, we have that same set of belief that is right now being worked out of the church system as far as mental
Right.
health things are concerned. So I had to confront that mindset within myself. Honestly, I really did. It's like, okay, if I allow them to put her on medicine, does that mean that I don't have faith in God? Or
Mm.
if she's getting worse, does that mean that I'm not praying hard enough? And
Mhm.
am I not
Mm,
speaking in
speaking.
the right tongue? So all of
Mhm.
that, because of what my mindset was or what my understanding of the teachings was, I had to confront it within myself. And I had to confront it quickly because, again, baby needed help. So it's not
Yeah.
even with those outside. First and foremost, it was inside of me that I had to confront and deal with. And that's why my mind has changed so drastically. And that's why, even more so, why I'm so passionate about this.
Wow, that's so powerful. We have to confront our own systems of beliefs that we
Yes.
we have developed through life, through upbringings, through lived experience, through culture, through
Yes.
teachings, and that's powerful because I think that part is one that we also need to really highlight more. How do we confront our own belief systems
Right.
to make sure that we are getting our kids the right help that they need? And I'll share a quick story about a pastor, very briefly, that we'll be working with in the Harlem section of New York City. Um, we're grateful to be partnering with a local church, one of the historic churches in the Harlem area, who acknowledged pastors are not mental health experts, and we don't know this work, and we need to partner with organizations like I Raise or like your organization to be able to get the help our kids need. So I think that pastor, he had to come to a point where he had to confront his own belief systems about.
Yep.
So I love this. Tell me more about your work. How do you inspire mothers and parents and others to overcome stigmas and live their best lives?
The best way that I like to inspire parents to overcome the stigma, first and foremost, education.
Yes.
It's the knowledge that makes the difference. You shall know the truth, and the truth shall make you free. It's free
Yes.
to think, free to interact, free to further engage, free to let go of old mindsets. So educating yourself, learning all that you can, learning the common symptoms, and learning the lingo even. Um,
Yes.
Another way to help reduce the stigma is, since we're speaking of language, is paying attention to the language that we assign to things that has to do with mental health. By language, I mean the negative language, the judgmental language.
Right.
Paying attention to that, not being so flippant to use things like crazy for if a
Right.
person is acting out of
Mhm.
character. Just being careful about that, not attaching certain language to negatively when it comes to mental health issues or challenges. Um, Another thing I encourage is, don't be afraid to seek help. Don't be afraid to say, listen, I need help. Um,
Yes.
this is taxing on me, or
Yes.
just seeking help, because as you seek help, as you are open with your own struggles and with your own questions, you are in turn helping someone else to do the same. Because again, as you mentioned in the beginning, a lot of times we think that we're the only ones that's dealing with something, but all
Yes.
it takes is one person to open up, and then it opens up the floodgates for everyone else, and then we realize, wait a minute, that's me as well.
Me
I'm
too.
not crazy, or I don't feel sorry, I'm not missing it,
Right.
or I don't need to judge myself harshly. And it brings a sigh of relief. And then with that sigh of relief, we're not so tense. We're open for help. We're open for healing each other just by being within a community. Another thing is by advocating. As you get the education, as you learn to open up more, and become more comfortable with the reality of mental health challenges, because we all face it, it's just that varying degrees, begin to advocate for it in any way that you can. So if you hear someone speaking negatively or in a not so well way, speak to them about it, or encourage someone else to open up. So those are the ways that. Oh, and most importantly, when I speak with my parents, or speak with parents that's dealing with or caregivers, the most important thing that I cannot stress enough is proper self-care
Mm.
as a parent, as a caregiver, because somehow we get lost in this as we're trying to figure this all out, as we're trying to be the stalwart for the family, as we're
Yeah.
trying to take care of everything, we're forgetting about ourselves. And it is not selfish for
Mhm.
us to pull back, take time to
Mhm.
pull back and get what we need. If it's just rest, if it's just a venting session, if it's a
Yes.
cry, if it's a cussing session, if it's a prayer
Mhm.
session,
Mhm.
taking care of you, because you need to be poured back into. You need to be connected and linked up with an army of people who are going through experiencing the similar things, so that once you leave that safe space, you can go back out and handle the task at hand, and you'll be able to do so with a gentleness and with compassion, because you're fueled, you're poured into. And so
Yeah.
then you're able to pour into your child, or pour into the siblings who somehow sometimes get lost, not sometimes, they get lost in the shuffle as well. So
Oh,
it's
yeah.
so important as parents and caregivers of those that are affected by mental health challenges and diagnoses, to take care of themselves as well, which is why I'm in the middle of creating a support group, shameless plug,
Mm.
called the Parents Retrieve. It's
Yes.
going to be an online support group for parents and caregivers of those that are uh, of children, or family members that are affected by mental health challenges. Is a place that we'll be able to come together, and I'll have resources available. I'll have therapists come in, and different. I'm excited about it. I'll be rolling that out later on this month. So self-care, becoming educated, being open and speaking, and not being afraid to seek help. Those are my advice for parents and caregivers as well.
This is so good, Sonja. I have like a page of notes, and I'm gonna go back and I'm gonna reread them and put them as sound bites later on. But want to highlight the things that you said: the education piece, advocacy, making sure that you're advocating, you're being an advocate. We have a responsibility, everyone listening. Just because you're not a mental health expert or coach does not mean you can't be a mental health advocate. You can advocate for family members, loved ones, friends, receiving the help that they need. You can do that. So
Absolutely.
you have a responsibility. That is a human responsibility that I've just given you that's watching. Admitting that you need help, that part I think sometimes can take years, if not a
Mhm.
lifetime. But coming to a place where you admit, right, that you do need the help, and then being open to being helped so that healing is possible. And then proper self-care, right? Oh my goodness, we got to do a separate segment and bring you back on, Sonja,
I'm
about
ready.
self-care with parents.
Yes,
Parents are so burnt out all the time, and they don't have a proper self-care plan. They
yep,
don't know what it looks like, right? And so it's so important. You talked about being linked up with an army of people so that you can be poured into, so you can pour back, right? We
yes,
can't pour from an empty vessel. So if you're empty and you're feeling depleted and burnt out and stressed out, how are you going to show up for the world or for your family, your clan, and be your best self, right? It's
exactly.
very unlikely. And then you talked about the siblings getting lost in the shuffle. I
Yes.
just actually wanted you to speak to that really briefly
Okay.
about what does it look like for siblings or just family members that are affected by someone with a mental health challenge to be lost in the shuffle of things.
It typically happens. They lose their sense of identity. They lose their sense of security.
Yeah.
Um, the household is shaken up,
Mm,
and now a lot of the attention, if not all, is going on that particular individual, the particular child, as we're trying to figure out what's going on. So it's easy for I would say it's easy for the siblings to feel lost. Like, okay, what about me? Where do I fit in this?
yes.
I don't want, and my one of my daughter and my other daughters, because of course I have 4 children altogether. She mentioned that what she would do so that she wouldn't be a burden or that she wouldn't bother us, she would just pull back and keep a lot of things to herself. And
Mm,
so they end up adapting or picking up possibly maladaptive behaviors in order to have a sense of security within a household and not to in an effort to not contribute to adding stress to the equation.
mm,
And again, like I mentioned, the loss of sense of security, because like, what is going on? The
mm,
family union, the safety, the normalcy, being able to laugh and
mm.
play, all of that has changed because
Wow.
the atmosphere has changed, because
Mm,
now we're on high alert because we got to figure out what's going on. And that's initially in the beginning. So um, those are the two things that definitely come to mind that I noticed and witnessed, and have been my children actually confessed or mentioned to me, as far as the effects were. So
that's so much. That's so interesting that these are all the effects. And sometimes parents, because there's so much going on and the household is shaken up, as you mentioned, Sonia, you may feel the shaken, but may not have language or strategy to deal with it.
right,
That's what we want to help parents with. And that's where your group comes into play that you'll be launching. I love it. Congratulations
thank you.
in advance for a successful online support group for family members. Y'all want to get plugged into Sonia, so that if you were affected by mental health or have a caregiver, or a family member or sibling, or a child, and you need the support, utilize the resources, reach out for the help, as Sonia is doing it. So please, if that is you, we encourage you that's watching this to please reach out and get the help that you need. Um, we're coming to close, but this has been really powerful, Sonia. If you can just give some words of encouragement and advice to parents, caregivers, who might be affected by mental health in the household, by way of their family members, that'd be amazing.
Absolutely. I just have a small phrase, and this would be for the caregivers as well as those actually affected. There is more. There
Yeah.
is more to you and to your family member that's affected by the mental health challenge. There's more for you and your family, for you specifically as a parent, as a caregiver, for your child, for whoever it is. There's more to you than what you're facing right now, than this mental health challenge, than the mental health diagnoses. You can embrace your new reality knowing that there is community available for you. We're changing our verbiage, we're changing our language, we are getting rid of slowly but surely the stigma. There's
Mhm.
more. There's more for you. There's more to you. You're not in this alone. And we can tackle this together, and we will. There's more. There's absolutely more.
Oh, that was so amazing. There is more. There's more community.
Yes.
There's more help.
Yes.
There's more strategy.
There's
Uh,
more
there,
strength.
yes, come on. You better don't
There's more.
start nothing
Period.
on here. There's more strength. There's more love. There's more peace. There's more joy. There is more. It exists. There's hope.
Absolutely.
Wow, that's so powerful. We're coming to a close, but I tell you, I want to stay on for a little longer because this has been very inspiring. You definitely have the grace over you. So I again want to commend you in this work. It is not easy. So I just want to really take a moment and acknowledge every mental health advocate, therapist, social worker, psychologist. Our work is not easy. It is so easy to be burned out because we are carriers of people's pain
Yeah.
and we feel. And I just want you to know that there is more for you too.
Mhm.
So don't be burnt out. Please create a self care plan. Make sure you have a community of support that can lift you up when you are not your best self. And I just want to say again, happy Mental Health Month to
Yes.
all of you. Thank you so much, Sonja, for being with me and joining
Thank you
us.
for having me. Thank you.
Thank you. And thank you all again for watching and for just being a part of this conversation. Shout out to Andrew Coleman out there who put a comment into the chat box. And for those that did not want to, we still want to acknowledge you too. We do want you to share this message wide. So please, please, please do share it with a family member. That might be a way that you help them. You might just want to say, hey, I heard this fireside chat or this chat. I want you to just listen to it. That's a strategy, y'all. So you can use that. We'll be bringing content every single week on mental health because we want to make sure you're healthy, you're thriving, and that you have a journey to healing. So just stay tuned. And of course, if you have a child that's in need of mental health services, iRaise does provide mental health support to children between the ages of 5 to 18 years old. So you can reach out to our organization through our website, or you can email us at info@iraiseinc.org or give us a call at 718-725-8996. If you are a school provider and you need an entire makeover for your school, we specialize in that. We'll bring a team of therapists on site and we will help you to create an environment that is mental health rich and informed. We love you all so much. We appreciate you. Don't forget, lastly, to subscribe to our ATL Rise podcast. Tomorrow, everyone, we are releasing an episode on mental health and relationships. So you want to make sure you are the first to listen to it on your way to work. Again, we appreciate you so much. Happy Thursday. Happy Mental Health Month. Have a safe and wonderful day, evening, and weekend, and we'll see you soon. Thank you all.